Just checking if everything is working. Seems fine. Hello, hello, hello. Hi, everyone. Welcome to another weekly streams of Weekends with Karthik. Um, so, how are you all doing? Thanks for being part of another journey. I'm just changing my setup a little bit, cleaning things up. So, how are you doing? I have nothing planned for today, so there's a whole bunch of things. So we'll see how it goes. Um, we'll just talk about a few things to begin with, and maybe we'll do some work. I have a whole bunch of stuff to finish. But to start with, we'll open a cup of caramel latte. It's cold. It's pretty hot out here. It's been 30 degrees for the past few days now, so it's pretty warm. So here I'm gonna help myself with some nice cold coffee. I don't know if the ASMR thing works. Do you guys like? Because I've seen some ASMR videos where they do things with opening up this. So I'm gonna try if that actually gives a nice soothing sensation. Alright, that's enough. That was me opening up my can of coffee. Oh, cool! I can actually put the cap on and then sip it through the cap. Hope I don't spill it. Great. So yeah, it's been a warm weekend. But yeah, a couple of exciting things happening. I went to Amsterdam in the morning. We went to the Rijksmuseum, which was really fun. Not really fun. That's actually what I maybe want to talk about. But I have not really formulated the thought in my head very well, so I'm also a little afraid of talking about it. So we'll see. I'll see if I want to go into it when the thoughts in my head are unbaked. But basically went to the Rijksmuseum. For those of you who don't know, it is the Royal Museum of the Netherlands. It's the biggest museum out here. It's kind of like the lure of Amsterdam. It's pretty huge. There's a lot of artwork in there. It's a lot of artwork. You're in there for your half a day. Still didn't end up seeing everything. Sort of just rushing through all the important ones and spending some time on stuff that I really like personally, which is more the design stuff, right? Um, but yeah, the like a reason I didn't enjoy as much. I'm usually I love museums in general. I just love going to museums. I think they are really fun for me to go and to take my time into things, especially an art and design museum, right? So I've been in Amsterdam to the Van Gogh Museum to Stedelijk. So the Rijksmuseum was the one that has always eluded me, as I've been in the Netherlands for 5 years now. And a Rijksmuseum was something that was always on the horizon, somewhere I wanted to go, but didn't really end up going. Um, because I knew it's big, so I knew I need to spend a whole day there. And every time I'm in Amsterdam, or like usually I'm either there for something, for an event, to meet someone, and then I don't really have like a whole day available with me. So it's almost so I've never done it. And then the other aspect is because it's right here, in my head, I always think I can always go there on a weekend, but when a weekend rolls by, it's never the thought that I need to go to the Rijksmuseum, right? Um, so because of that, I've never been to Rijksmuseum. Um, but this weekend I had the time. So yeah, we did decide to go and and I check it out. And I think there's nothing really wrong with the museum itself. I think it's a great museum in terms of the layout, in terms of information that they give you. It's a pretty neat. I like this map a lot, which has a very nice floor by floor information about which artwork can be found in which um, floor. So like a layout and everything is pretty solid. Now, the thing that was sort of a turn off about this museum from the get go is that in the very beginning, right? So, how you start the trip is on the ground floor, and you go to what is the Asian Pavilion, which is Asian Pavilion, right? So, it's all the art from Asia. So that's what you begin with. So you go in there, and you immediately get this weird vibe that everything in there is stuff that has been stolen from other countries, Asia specifically in this case, and that sort of feels very very unsettling because it's like, especially for I think someone who comes from Asia, I think it's more unsettling because you're seeing stuff in there that actually is very common stuff in Indian temples. I think so. You go, you see like a big statue of Nataraja. There's statues of Ganesha. There's like a Nandi statue. So you see all of these different statues that they have just uprooted from the temples or different places across India, and they just brought them here, and they go into detail into explaining them, explaining the different art. And it's, I think the way they explain the art is where it was problematic. I cannot pinpoint to it, but when you're like reading a piece of your copy, you sort of immediately can judge the tone of your voice of the author, right? Like what is the tone of your voice that the author of this copy is trying to convey. And in every description, there was like a hint of uh, I don't know what's the word for it. There was like a condescending tone to all the description, right? It sort of didn't really focus on the art. It focused on things beyond art. I think the first floor was still okay. It was just different things, different sculptures and stuff. I think that was still nice, but you did get the feeling that what, these don't belong here. They don't belong in a museum. In India, you never see these things in a museum. You see them, like where they belong. You'll see them in a temple. You'll see them in the Ajanta and Ellora caves. You'll see them in the Brihadeshwara temple. You'll see them in Hampi. You'll see them actually in the place where they are. So that was like a little bit unsettling that they just took this stuff, they brought it all the way here. And yeah, I think the descriptions, like it was brought to the Netherlands by so and so, like you're like a major general, and it was sort of like written as if it was some sort of an adventure that they did, and this was the reward for that adventure, right? I think for me that was a bit unsettling, seeing that you didn't bring it here, you like stole it, right? Like I think that was for me a bit weird to see that the way it was written, how they got these things was in a very Dutch friendly way, which is not wrong. It's not. It's not like right and sort of to be expected from the Royal Museum, because they cannot diss their own country. But I think it was very unsettling for me when I was in there, and I'm like, okay, all this stuff is stolen from all the colonies that they had, and then but they were not being depicted as some there are some stuff that they got as a reward, or they went on some very dangerous exploration and they got these artifacts from those places. So for me that was a bit unsettling, especially when you see stuff that okay, this is not like a really a great piece of art, piece of like a statue. It's like a very like normal statue you'll see in like a normal temple, but the fact that they stole it, they uprooted it, they bought it here, and now it's being displayed as if it's some sort of a feat or an achievement. I think that was like the first unsettling part. and this they had stuff from across the world. Like there's stuff from India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Japan, Indonesia, like Thailand. They had like stuff from all of these countries, and sort of it was just like a reminder that okay, all of these are stolen from all of these different places that they went to. Um, and I think then there was a section in there that really I think set the mood for me for the rest of the trip for some reason, was that there was a room in there that had paintings by that had like a miniature paintings by Indian artist, which was depicting women in different um, doing different things, right? That was let me actually what the painting was. Um, but the annoying, show you, I took pictures of it, of course. So maybe that, yeah, I don't want to say it the wrong way. I wanna, it's because it's all still you're fresh. So this is just me making these thoughts I s- as I speak. So I'm just trying to articulate why am I feeling this way about this museums, because usually after a museum I'm really, really like impressed and inspired and at awe of the art. And don't get me wrong, this museum did have some really great things as well. But yeah, there was just a lot of unsettling stuff as well. So let me start with the ones that I think. Okay, just shot a bunch of pictures over to my computer. So we'll go over them. Let me try to see if I can articulate what I'm thinking a bit better as we check them out. Right, let me share my screen. Cool. Let me see what I'm talking about. Yeah, so this was the Asia Pavilion I was talking about. And yeah, the way they start off itself, it says that even though Netherlands and Asia have been in contact for centuries, and this being in contact, like being in contact is a subtle way of putting what was actually going on. The objects collected by the members collected. So for me, that was like weird. Like they were not collected. It was stolen. Selection of arts from Asia is on the view. The so this is like the first section that you go into as you go in, and they do put in there this thing which says the museum is part of contemporary debate on how objects entered into European collection and how Asian art is represented, which is true, of course. Like, and even so like the words they use, right? I think that's what I'm trying to say. How they entered into the collection, like just say you stole them, just or it was like you're like looted, just acknowledge it at least. So for me, that was the weird thing. So this was the kind of like a language that you see used across, and that sort of puts you on guard a bit. Let me see. If I had a picture of the thing itself, I think. So yeah, this is basically was thing. So this is what I'm saying. This beautiful Nataraj statue in like bronze. They took the effort to bring it all the way here. Like, but this is a very sort of like common thing to see in Indian temples. But yeah, they brought this here. But I think the part I was referring to, so this was a section. So these are the paintings I was talking about. I'll go into them. I want to see, there was somewhere a description of all of these paintings. Yeah, which is women in Indian miniature paintings. These paintings offer us a glimpse into the lives of women in India. However, the image afford and is imperfect and biased because the paintings were not made with the intention of documenting daily lives of women. They are mostly illustration of love poems in Sanskrit from Sufi tradition, always made by men and intended for the male gaze, an eye for female beauty. So this sort of what was for me a very weird thing, where they don't just talk. They're not talking about the art here. They're giving a commentary on the men and women of India, specifically in this case. Um, which I think was for me the unsettling part, where they're saying that, oh, all of these paintings were made by men with a male gaze in it, and that there's that indication that, yeah, there was a lot of a patriarchy that existed in India at the time, which it definitely did, right? There's no denying. Even now, there is a strong patriarchal society, especially in India. So I'm not denying that, but I think one is unsettling is that there was strong patriarchal society everywhere, right? Like when you look at the painters, like the great Dutch painters of the 16th, 17th century, like all, like men, all the drawings they've done of, like women, but all drawn by men, right? But there's never a talk about, oh, these are all drawn by men, so this is a men's the representation of how a woman is. You just talk about the art, right? Like you go up in the same building, you look at a Rembrandt or a Vermeer or any of those artists. They're just talking about the art, saying that, oh, look at how the light falls on this thing, da da da. They're never talking about, oh, but why is it's why is there a lack of representation of your woman in the Night's Watch? That's not what the description are talking about. They're talking about the art itself, which I felt should have been the case here as well. Like just talk about the art, but for some reason they go to a very extensive, like sort of like lens to talk about how there was patriarchy in there, especially in some of the paintings where they go to the extent and say that we actually were able to rescue them or something like that. So they talk. So there are scenes depicting a marriage and stuff like that. For example, stuff like these art forms you probably have seen from India. These are like very sort of like miniature. These are a miniature, or like Mughal arts and stuff like that. But yeah, like they always like give a commentary on it, which is sort of like very weird. Um, so yeah, like the choice of spouse was usually determined by family elders. So like stuff like this, or the abduction of Rukmani, like I think they just focus way too much on the context of these paintings than the paintings itself, right? For example, there's this picture of woman in temple, like just a woman in a temple, right? It's just a painting of that. There's no other context. This was painted in 16th century. It's women praying in temple, but here it's just talks about uh, how keeping a religion alive is a woman's task. A woman fast for the welfare of the family members. But like the last sentence where it says this, like a religion, still a religion can be a source of profound satisfaction, and visiting a temple is a moment away from household chores. I think, yeah, these are just very uh, biased perspective of that, like of the conditions in India. That's what I felt when I was reading this. And by no ways I'm defending how women were and are treated in India, but the fact that that's what is being highlighted in an art museum, for me that's unsettling, right? And especially because we're talking about 16th, 15th century, where women were not being treated well anywhere in the world. So yeah, I think for me, and I'm like, but only specifically when you're talking about these Indian paintings, for some reason the focus is on on like patriarchy than on the art itself. Yeah, like so sati was this horrific thing that we used to do, and it says the British colonizers like banned the ritual in 1829. Like stuff like that, right? Like how we came and civilized, like the country. I think for me that was like not really sitting well. Like even this, right? Like this is a picture of a woman, really beautiful painting, beautiful frames, but when you go into the description, um yeah, she's it said somewhere that she's awaiting for like for like her lover. That's the thing behind this painting. Oh, I think that was for this one. So it's a painting of a woman playing with a yo-yo. I actually found it quite fascinating that actually that she was playing with a yo-yo. How do I zoom into this? Yeah, so there's a yo-yo in her hand. It's a really cool painting, but then the description says that this is a lonely a woman who has to amuse herself while waiting for her a lover. Uh, like a woman engaged in all sorts of activities were among the favorite subject of many artists, but the main character in such pictures, albeit absent and invisible, is still a man. I think yeah, like this is just sort of like projecting such a strong a bias into a simple painting of a girl playing, saying that oh, even though it's a painting of a woman, but the fact that she's like me, waiting for a man, which is a big presumption. I think she probably just playing with a yo-yo. For all we know, it was painting in 1680. Um, but yeah, they somehow are able to make it patriarchal, even a picture of a woman playing with yo-yo, and that sort of is what I found a bit unsettling. I'm like, yo, like that's a very biased take on these art. Like you're not talking about the art here anymore. You're just throwing your shade at another country. So yeah, that sort of yeah, they were just it was just there across the thing, like uh, yeah, I'm not gonna go into all of them, but yeah, I think you get the general sense of what I'm going for here. Um, there was some more weird. So this was sort of like what set the tone. Then we did go to the other parts of the museum where it was just more art and stuff. But that sense of of yeah, that like weird colonial a tinge is something that just sticks with you then throughout, because you're like, whoa, this is how they're viewing Indian art. And then as you go and start viewing every other art that's in there, you sort of keep on getting a reminder of that. They're like, okay, that's the biased perspective they have for the art and artists in Asia. But when they're talking about similar art forms here, when there's a painting of a girl, there's lots of paintings of girls, right? But then there's no talk about how it's always a man who is drawing a woman. Why are there you're a woman who are like making the paintings? It's just about talking about how beautiful the painting itself is. That's really what it's focused at, which is what it should be in an art museum, I think. Of course, bit of history and your context is nice for everything, but yeah, like you sort of keep getting a reminder of that. But I think there's also this one thing that really yeah, was weird. Oh, it was this one. So basically, they had these different spears stuck on a wall, and there was a big description of it. So this was during the Dutch East India Company. So they had a whole section dedicated to the Dutch East India Company. Here, at least, they acknowledged some of the horrible stuff they did, that they did. The aggressive expansion of the politics led to dozens of colonial wars that claimed hundreds and thousands of lives. So they do explain that the Dutch East India Company was pretty shite, but I think this was for me the a bit like weird part where it says that like so they had all of these spears stuck there, and it said that most of these spears were presented to JC, Power Governor General of Dutch East India Company, 1834. Java War, a bloody colonial war between the Dutch and the Java princes, cost the lives of 200,000 Javanese and 15,000 Dutchmen because unrest remained in parts of Java. Boer went on an inspection tour in the river. during the journey he received this web. So basically, there was a big like war, right, between the Dutch East India Company and the and like Javans, and 200,000 Javanese died in this war. 15,000 Dutchmen died in this war. This doesn't seem like a fair war in any sense. I'm not even sure if it can be called a war when you are killing the other time, when the other side is losing more than 10 times amount of people that you're losing. That's at this point, that's just genocide, right? And the reason why that's happening is that the other side is fighting with these, right? This is their most advanced weaponry, whereas you have these that you're fighting from. So, and then it says that, but these spears were given as a token of like a loyalty, from the from the thing, but then in a bracket they put extorted, right? So they're trying to like frame it as, yeah, but then the people in those countries, they offered us these nice spears, but yeah, literally you killed 200,000 of them and they had no choice but to submit to your rule. So yeah, I think the way things explain the wordings, that's really still what for me was largely problematic. um so yeah, and then so I think that's the central problem I had. I think there's still some beautiful artwork in there. Like we did enjoy seeing a lot of the art that were in the museum. But I think, yeah, just that it starts off with such a bad taste in in your mouth, and you keep getting a reminder of that as you go across and you see everything. They have these beautiful like replicas of the ships. They have these guns and like stuff that are very well designed. So I definitely would still recommend people to go check it out. But yeah, I think I didn't leave the museum with like a wow, that was so inspirational. I was like, it was really good, but it was also a little screwed up because of all the context around it that I didn't really feel like great about. And I feel that people who are going in there, like from Asia, I don't think they've designed it well enough for an Asian person to enjoy. I think that's, for me, I think the thing, if I have to crystallize that, it's built with a very biased perspective for people from other parts of the world, from Europe and other parts of the world, to enjoy. For people from Asia to come and look at these things and be like, yeah, you just came to our country, stole all of this shit, and now you're trying to glorify it in some way, saying that, hey, look at all this, like cool stuff we got. I think that part just throws you off. And for the rest of the museum, so this is just the ground floor, right? But then as you go through the museum, you sort of have that bad taste in your mouth, even as you're enjoying the art by the masters like Rembrandt and Vermeer and all of those nice stuff. So yeah, that's in a nutshell my rant about my visit to Rijksmuseum. Um, but yeah, and this is the first time I'm experiencing like that after museum. I loved like going to Van Gogh museum. I've been to Van Gogh for I think about 5 6 times now. I love it. Big fan. Like the more and every time I go, I discover something new. The reason I've been so many times is because, yeah, every time I have a friend who's a visiting, like a me from abroad, and they're like, okay, what is the one museum I need to see in the Netherlands? I always take them to Van Gogh. So that's been my go-to museum. So I really love the way things are there, and I've been to like to the globe. I've been to a bunch of European museums, and this was the first time where I did feel that unsettling colonial sort of like a vibe that was very much in there. So yeah, that's in a nutshell what I wanted to talk about. And now I've realized that I've spoken for a while. So I'm thinking if we still have time to do something or not. Yeah, I do wanna like spend my time editing videos and stuff. But yeah, I might just call it a short. I might just call this one short, and okay, let me do this. Let me just take a look at the videos we have from there, but yeah, also might not be nice. So basically, last week we had something called the Envisioners Day in our office. The Envisioners Day is this thing we do where we invite all of our like users from the Netherlands to our office for like a day of, like just for a day of having fun at the office, interacting with our team. We do some stuff like testing with our team. So this is sort of pictures from that day. Some really nice stuff in there. So that is just all of us having a great time at the Envisioners Day. So yeah, my idea was we made some videos from that day also. So I wanted to check if I can edit them and make it something fun. Uh, let's see. Let's try. Let me see if I can put in some structure into it. So I'm gonna go into this. Create new movie. Where is the okay? Yeah, I'm thinking I shouldn't probably be doing this live because there's a lot of videos in there, and there are some people in the video who were not okay with being like having their pictures and videos in public. So I need to go through each of this footage, pick out the nice stuff, and then do it. So I might do it now, but not live. Sorry, guys. I thought I could, just sort of off show you how I make like a quick edit your movie, but yeah, I'm not sure if it's a good idea to do it, given the fact that a lot of this might have some people who might not be wanna be on the camera, but also there is some footage of us like testing some of our newer features in there. So I'm not sure if it's a good idea to um, yeah, share that as well. Cool. With that, I think I'm gonna bring my stream to a close here. Thank you everyone who joined. Really appreciate you doing this and still showing up to my stream. It really is cool. I'm doing this as I started this more as an experiment, but yeah, it's great to see that I'm still able to do it 6 months down the line. So yeah, we'll see if I can continue this till the end of the year. That'll be really, really great. But yeah, thank you for listening. Thank you for listening to what became a bit more of a rant, but I think I was able to articulate what I'm feeling. I have no like, it's always difficult, right? I think for me, yeah, like the reason I was a bit so like nervous about doing this, like live without having had the time to structure my thoughts, because yeah, if you're not able to explain this nuanced emotions that you're feeling in a nice way, people always pick extremes of this, and they always assume the worst in you, think that okay, this person probably hates the Dutch and the Netherlands. That's, you're far from being the truth. Like like I love the Netherlands, and I think every like your country in the world has the good and the bad. But yeah, it's just that this complex emotion I was feeling when I was going through this museum, and I think I have that experience, and it is complex because of the fact that there are two sides to it. There's a side of it which is really, really nice. There's one side which is not as nice, and it is making you feel uncomfortable. And I think this was my attempt to express what that discomfort could probably have come from. Um, but yeah, if any of you out there feel like differently, or have a different opinion about this, or just want to have a chat with me to understand and sort of unravel this a bit more, I would love to do that. Would love to sit down actually and understand from someone who actually has a very different opinion on this also from me. Or if there are other people who felt very similar to lead to the way I felt, but were not able to like know how to put it into words. Yeah, if I think it's a very interesting like topic. I think on one hand we need to be forward looking towards the future, like not really dwell in the past, but at the same time I think it's nice to have conversations like this just to understand like like how to you know yeah, I think just to understand how to deal with emotions, right? I think because these things still have an emotional impact on you. So I think that's more or less what my intention is to be able to like have these complex and nuanced discussion about stuff like this. So yeah, if any of you would just want to have a chat, sort of of unravel this a bit more with me, talk about things with me about this topic, would be like I'm more than happy to. I think this would be a pretty interesting topic to unravel and to discuss on, especially if somebody has a different view on this than I do. Um, Thank you so much. I will see you next week, same place, same time. Until then, do take care of yourself, and